Reality says nothing. It shows. Imagine realizing that the entire universe is responding to you, but not with words, with situations, people, sensations that repeat, symptoms that return, and behind it all, an invisible pattern, as if reality were trying to say something without ever using a voice. You begin to notice that events are not as random as they seem. Certain things insist on returning. The same frustrations, the same decisions, the same mirrors. Everything around you seems to have a hidden intelligence, as if something were being projected, not just lived. But then the question arises, what exactly is projecting this? Most people live believing that the world is external, chaotic, out of control, and so they spend energy trying to shape what's outside, correcting others, pushing life, forcing changes in the scenery. But the truth is that nothing out there can be sustained if there isn't a root vibrating within. What is outside is a symptom. It is not the cause. And if you feel that the world is in disorder, maybe what is out of alignment is the vibration you haven't yet realized you're sustaining. A vibration that doesn't arise from your conscious desires, but from what you truly believe about yourself, about others, about reality itself. This is where everything begins to reverse. What if life is a reflection? A living, sensitive mirror that only responds to the image you hold inside. There is a law, ancient, forgotten by many, but recorded by those who crossed the veil of appearance. A law that not only explains what is happening in your life now, but also offers the map of how to transform it, not through effort, but through awareness. This law states that everything in the universe is in correspondence, that the above mirrors the below, the inside projects onto the outside, the invisible organizes the visible. And when this law begins to be understood, reality changes, not because you forced it, but because you adjusted the center. In the next few minutes, you will understand why things repeat, why some signs appear, why certain feelings return, and above all, how to read the universe like someone reading a book, written in mirrors, metaphors, and But a warning, once you see the reflection clearly, you can no longer unsee it, because from this point on, what is outside will begin to reveal everything that has always been within. Maybe this is the greatest secret that has ever been hidden before your eyes. The external reality was never something separate from you. It is merely the outer side of a vibration that begins inside. And the law that sustains this dynamic, discrete but absolute, has been known since antiquity by those who dared to cross the veil of appearance. It was written on tablets, whispered among initiates, and preserved as one of the most sacred keys of the universe. The law of correspondence. As it is within, so it is without. As it is above, so it is below. As is the whole, so is the part. This law is not a philosophical metaphor. It is a vibrational structure, a silent mechanism that organizes the way the invisible becomes matter. What you carry in the backstage of your mind and heart finds, on the outside, a way to manifest. And everything you experience is merely the visible face of what you emanate, often without realizing it. It was Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom, the divine scribe, who first recorded this principle, not with ordinary ink, but with symbols that have crossed centuries. He knew the universe wasn't linear, but mirrored, that everything happening in the higher planes finds reflection in the lower planes, and that everything moving within a human being, their fears, beliefs, desires, and thoughts, shapes the field around them like an invisible sculptor. For the ancients, Thoth was not just a god, he was the mediator between worlds, the one who saw the hidden reflection behind appearances. the one who knew that time and space were bendable, as long as one understood the correct frequency. The law of correspondence shows us that nothing is isolated. No emotion exists without echo. No thought is neutral. No event arises disconnected from the center. Everything responds. Everything reverberates. Reality is a sequence of mirrors placed before each other. When you change the content of one, the reflection of all the others begins to shift. But the most surprising part is realizing that these reflections are not always literal. Life doesn't show you exactly what you think. It shows you what you vibrate. And that vibration translates into symbols. That's why the world doesn't speak to you in direct language. It speaks in images, in repetitions, in situations that seem like coincidences, but are actually correspondence. When you understand this, everything changes. Yesterday's anger, the unlikely encounter, the message that arrives at the exact moment, the dream that repeats. Nothing is random anymore. Every fragment of your experience carries an invisible signature. Yours. You are not reacting to reality. You are interacting with a projection of yourself. And this is not an invitation to guilt. It is a call to awareness. The law of correspondence does not judge. It only mirrors. It does not punish. It only reflects. The universe has no opinion. It has resonance. And you live, at every moment, inside the field you are creating with your most active vibration. That's why, if you want to change what's outside, you don't need to attack the effects. You need to rediscover the cause. And the cause is always within. But finding that cause is not always simple. It doesn't present itself in an obvious way, nor does it shout in your ears. The cause hides in the details, in the signs, in the patterns you usually ignore, but that repeat like a secret language trying to teach you something only you can decipher. Because reality doesn't speak the way humans speak. It communicates in symbols. It whispers in metaphors. That's why the law of correspondence shouldn't just be understood. It should be lived as a form of listening, a state of deep attention, where everything becomes language. The behavior that repeats in the people around you, the same number that appears day after day, a discomfort that shows up in the body whenever a certain emotion approaches. Nothing is random once you begin to see beyond the form. Life is an intelligent mirror, but not a photographic mirror. It doesn't reflect exactly what you think. It reflects what you vibrate, and vibration translates into pattern. The universe shows you where it hurts, where there is still shadow, where you're stuck in an unconscious cycle, not to punish you, but to show you what still needs to be seen, what is still active, what needs to be resignified. Maybe that's why the ancients called reality a living oracle, because everything that happens outside is responding to a frequency within. And when that frequency changes, the pattern changes with it. But to decipher this mirror, sensitivity is needed. It's not enough to observe. You have to feel. The universe responds with symbols, but symbols don't have a fixed language. They speak to you through your story, your baggage, your emotional repertoire. For one person, seeing the number 1111 might be an invitation to awareness. For another, a warning. For someone else, just noise. The symbol is a personalized mirror. It only reveals what you're already ready to see. That's why learning to read reality requires a new kind of intelligence. One that goes beyond logic, that senses the pattern behind the visible, that perceives the connections between seemingly unrelated events, that understands that what you reject outside may be exactly what you need to integrate within. This symbolic reading is one of the most powerful paths to self-knowledge, because it removes the illusion that you are a victim of external forces. It shows that everything is in correspondence, that the encounter with that difficult person, the project that won't move forward, the illness that keeps returning, all of this is reflection, all of this is code. And Thoth, the great scribe, understood this like no one else. He knew the gods did not speak with voice. They spoke with events, with signs, with sacred architecture. He recorded the patterns of the sky reflected on the earth, the movements of spirit reflected in the flesh. And by doing so, he allowed the initiates to understand the language of the cosmos. You can do the same now. Just start looking at your life as someone reading a text full of metaphors. Every emotion is a word, every encounter a comma, every repetition a paragraph asking to be reread. And the more you allow yourself to interpret with presence, the more the universe reveals, because it understands when you begin to listen. It notices when you align, and in that moment the noise quiets, the signs become clearer, the synchronicities increase. The mirror begins to smile back. So observe everything, but not like someone who watches over. Observe like someone who listens with the body, with the heart, with the soul, because reality is trying to talk to you all the time. It just needs you to stop talking and start understanding. Understanding is more than reasoning. It's allowing something to make sense on a level that doesn't depend on words. It's feeling the truth arranging itself inside your chest like a perfect fit. And when you realize that reality is speaking to you, you also begin to perceive that it is not outside. It is part of the same living organism that pulses within you. The law of correspondence doesn't speak only of emotional reflections or behavioral patterns. It reveals something much deeper, that the universe is a living, fractal structure where each part contains the whole on a smaller scale. Just as a drop contains the taste of the ocean, you carry within you the full signature of creation. Nothing is separate. Everything is interconnected in layers that mirror each other, in patterns that repeat, in vibrations that intertwine. That's why the ancients saw no separation between body and spirit, between heaven and earth, between visible and invisible. They knew that everything that exists on the greater plane also exists on the lesser plane, that the cycles of nature are inscribed in the pulses of the heart, that the planets move out there at the same time emotions stir within. The microcosm is the living mirror of the macrocosm. This truth changes the way you walk through the world, because you begin to see the sacred in the detail, the intelligence in simplicity, and, most importantly, you begin to realize that you are not a distant observer of the universe. You are an extension of it, a fragment that carries within itself the entire geometry of existence. Your body, for example, is not just flesh. It is a map, each organ an emotion, each pain a message, each heartbeat a symphony echoing something greater. When you feel something, the universe feels it with you, because there is no separation between the center and the periphery. What changes within affects the whole. What rises in one part reverberates through the entire network. That's why changing your frequency is not just about changing your life. It's about altering the structure of the field. The field feels when you shift. It adjusts the pieces. It redraws the connections. The world begins to reorganize itself to reflect the new vibration you are sustaining. Thoth understood this. He didn't see the human being as a loose piece on the board of existence. He saw each person as a living tablet where the gods wrote the symbols of creation. Each gesture, each choice, each thought, all emitted frequencies that resonated in the invisible planes. And that's why he taught, if you want to change the world, start from the point of origin, start from the center, because what is outside is only the echo of what pulses within. You are a universe in miniature, and by honoring this microcosm, you activate an intelligence that not only understands reality, but begins to co-create it, not through force, but through correspondence. And it doesn't require effort, it requires coherence. When what you think, feel, and vibrate move in the same direction, the universe doesn't need a push. It responds naturally, because the field is sensitive to harmony. And everything that vibrates in unity attracts realities that also resonate with that state. That is true alchemy. It's not about transforming the lead outside, but refining the gold within. When you choose to align your frequency with awareness, you're not just changing thoughts, you're changing the code that sustains your reality. You're telling the universe, this is the new center, this is the new tone, this is the new reflection I'm ready to live. And the universe listens. Silent, yet attentive, it observes whether your vibration remains steady when no one is watching, whether your word holds integrity even when there are no witnesses, whether your intention remains firm even when the results haven't arrived yet. Because reality doesn't respond to what you declare with fleeting enthusiasm. It responds to what you sustain with true presence. That's why alignment is the turning point. When what is within begins to emit clearly, what is outside begins to reorganize. Opportunities arise, connections restructure, resistance loses strength. Not because you forced a change, but because you became the change you want to live. Thoth knew that words have power, but only when they are born from a state of coherence. He was the scribe of the gods because he understood the vibrational value of intention. He didn't write with symbols alone, he wrote with states of being. That's why each inscription carried not just meaning, but frequency. And this is the key you can carry now. Each choice, each silence, each thought is a symbolic gesture before the field. You are constantly sending signals. The question is, are they in harmony with what you want to live? Or are they filled with fragments of fear, doubt, haste, and distrust? Because the universe doesn't deliver what you desire. It delivers what you are ready to receive. And being ready doesn't mean moral worthiness. It means vibrational correspondence. It means that what you want is no longer distant from your identity. It means you're no longer trying to reach for something outside, but sustaining something within. When that point is reached, reality ceases to be a battlefield. It becomes a transparent mirror, a clear reflection of what you have become. There is no more resistance, only response. No more waiting, only resonance. And it is in this moment that you understand you don't need to move the entire world. You just need to realign the axis. The world adjusts itself when the center is at peace. You don't need to master all the mysteries of the universe to begin seeing their reflection in your own life. Everything said here is not a distant or theoretical concept. It is a practical key, an internal map, a silent invitation to transformation. From the moment you begin observing reality with symbolic eyes, something changes. Small situations that once went unnoticed now carry meaning. Patterns are given names. Cycles begin to break. Because you stopped reacting and started understanding. The law of correspondence is not just a hermetic principle. It is a vibrational technology at your disposal. And applying it does not require superhuman effort. It requires presence, courage to look within, attention to notice the reflections the world is sending back. willingness to change the center, even if nothing outside has changed yet. Every choice you make from this awareness carries weight. Every new thought, every chosen silence, every emotion embraced with truth rewrites invisible codes. Reality responds. It always has, but now it begins to hear you more clearly, because now you are emitting with intention. As Hermes Trismegistus once said, man is a star bound to the body by the mind. That sentence is not poetic, it's literal. Your mind is the bridge between heaven and earth. It is what projects, reflects, and reshapes the universe around you. You are not trapped in an unchangeable destiny. You are sailing a sea of possibilities that bend to your inner state. At every moment, you have the power to correct your course, not by fighting the waves, but by realigning the helm. And if you've made it this far, it's because something inside you has already begun to remember what it has always known. Reality is not what happens to you, it is what happens through you. If this message touched you on any level, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. That way, this wisdom reaches more seekers like you. In the comments, write, "My reality is the mirror of my consciousness." Share it with someone who is ready to decipher the signs behind the form. This is the second episode of our special series on the Hermetic laws. And if you haven't watched the first video of the series yet, about the law of mentalism, click on the screen now and dive into the source code of reality. The world around changes when you become the change it reflects.